Here's my voice guide on bind. We're going to start off on defense on B, and we're going to start off with the razor vines. So the razor vines only really have three main ones you're going to do. The one under hookah, the one over here. So the way I'm going to place this is I go into the middle of the choke point and just place it to the right slightly, is the way that I do it. Making sure that it's over 4 meters away from the choke is basically how you want to do it. And the other one is going to be on top like this, like with these two like things there. And basically what they do is these two are going to stop people coming at the choke points. Fairly self-explanatory. This one will help you get kills because you want to detonate this one when you hear them drop. This one is for Raze and Jet when they like dash out, satchel out. They're going to like dash out, satchel out onto a razor vine, and hopefully you end up killing them. Especially Raze. Raze is a lot easier to punish when she gets into a razor vine because Jet has smokes and she can kind of delay you punishing her. So it might be enough time for her team to come and help. Obviously you want to place shears to help hopefully make sure the team doesn't come and help. So I'm talking about the shears name. Generally on B, I don't like putting the shear in hookah. I feel like it's a bit clunky in hookah, very easy to bait. There's not really any really good positions for it. So for me, I use long a lot. And long for me, I'd like to place this one here because it's very hard to bait. So it really helps when you're against like Raze or Jet and they like to dash out, or any other character like that, or just in general people that are taking this like fast rather than playing slow and trying to like walk into like sneaky corners like this and things. This one works really well against because they're not going to see it before they go out. Other ones I like as well is I wouldn't just recommend putting it in the choke point. It is baitable. I would recommend this one or the ones that you're going to try and be more proactive with. Some of the more proactive shears is this one. And obviously it is fairly baitable, right? Because I'll see it and be able to bait it. But one thing you can do is that sometimes people will actually just swing this anyway, and they won't expect a wall to be here, especially on the first time you do it. So if you do this shear, I like to put a flash up here, making sure I jump to get it as high as possible, just to make it that much more undetectable. And what it does is, if someone goes through, as you can see, they go through, and that's when they can detect this flash. It won't be on their screen though, most likely, unless they're like super far back. And essentially they go through, and I'm going to flash, right? And anyone on this side of the wall will basically make sure they get detected by this flash. Unfortunately, it will also detect people all the way back here. I can't really get a good one that doesn't do that. I do have one on Ascent that is basically the same play, but it's a lot more accurate with like detecting people past the trap or like in the trap basically. But yeah, this one's like pretty decent for like a trap play. You can also do the same very similar thing over here as well, which is a bit more I think is a bit more consistent, but also a lot more baitable. You place a shear here when the barriers drop, right? Oops, sorry. And then you place your trap here. And essentially what happens is if someone is like essentially not clearing this properly and they just don't bait this and they just go through it, then you end up getting the flash. And the thing is, it's not even like the worst thing possible if they do trigger this or they do trigger this, because it's giving you the info that they've walked up to it and baited it, right? It's still giving you info. Obviously, this is like the best way to get the info, especially in solo queue, because a lot of people are going to make dumb sounds and they're going to like run when they're not supposed to and that kind of stuff in solo queue. Happens all the time. And yeah, like this is like maybe a waste of util in that sense. But these are like some trap plays you'll do very like one-off, and you're kind of doing them because you expect them to trigger this without baiting it. That's basically how you're going to use them. Obviously, if you don't think your enemies are going to bait this, then don't use it, right? It's all about trying to find the right round for these like trap plays. So these are like kind of like how I play B. I'll most of the time be standing like in here as well, like fighting for B, with these flashes as well. Usually I'm placing the flash anywhere on this like top bit here. You can also place it up here, but bear in mind that this flash does not flash people like right side hookah like this. So you need to be careful slightly if you want to take a fight. If you're exposing yourself to that angle in some way, like over here, you want to be careful that these players probably won't be flashed for using this flash. Generally I just place it center of the wall like this. It might get shot preemptively sometimes from people over here. That can happen sometimes, so you want to make sure you're mixing up on the wall slightly. But yeah, that's basically it for like B defense. You can also ult basically anytime you're going to get like basically when someone like tries to come out like originally, you can ult. It does have a bit of a charge, like a bit of a time. It does take a bit of time for it to go off. So be careful. Like the first fight might just be against someone with a normal gun, right? And then the rest of their teammates might run at you with like classics and things. Or shorties or sheriffs, depending on how they've prepared for your ult. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the retake of B. And basically when you're retaking B, to be fair, I don't do this that much because usually I play B. but sometimes I will play A on like certain circumstances. The main thing to know when you're retaking sites with VYSE is that you want to be using your flash as like an information tool more so than the actual flash. It kind of depends, obviously, what you need. Treat it as more like Sky. Like if you know how I talk about Sky sometimes with her flash, right? Where she has the 2 charges, or used to be 3 charges, like generally. It used to be like you would have an info flash and then you would have a kill flash, basically. That's kind of the same for you, but you have to pick more, like you have to, obviously you don't have 2 charges, so you have to like pick one or the other majority of the time. So, and to be fair, the cooldown's quite low. But yeah, you're basically going to be choosing either you want a kill flash or an info flash. That's basically what you're going to be choosing. And generally on post plant, you want that info flash. Things like placing it backside and detonating it will give you things like they're not backside, essentially, right? And obviously if they do shoot it, it means that they are backside as well, right? Because they can see that flash. Things like flash here as well is also quite good. Because it's going to give you this corner, and it's also going to give you like mid-sight area. So bear in mind that all these flashes can be like really quite good. I'm just saying this as well, that there's probably going to be a smoke here. That's the reason why you should be able to place these flashes. You can also just do it straight through the wall like this. It will get shot almost 100% of the time. So that's the reason why I don't tend to do like straight up like flashes through this wall for like the flash value. I tend to do it for the info value and getting like certain information by placing them in certain positions. That's kind of like how I want to play the post plant. Your razor vines can be used to like sort of zone areas off, like, and stop people from peeking you from certain positions, and that can also be quite effective by placing it in like corners that you know people might play.
Thorns activated.
I tend to just free throw those as well. I don't have any lineups for that. It's just free thrown. I'm not going to talk about the shear in post plant because I'm going to assume that you placed it in your setup, and the shear itself is not particularly useful on post plant. When it comes to ult as well, you kind of just want to use it where you think like you need to take early space. So if you want to take this like site guaranteed, you can do this. But if you can get more greedy with it, like there's a lot more time and they're kind of giving you space for free, you can look for ones in elbow, you can look for ones even up here if they're like super have given up the space a lot and they're playing for like post plant and things. You can go super far up with your ult potentially. Sometimes bind that is the case, like the duelist will play for sight. And then you'll see like a lot of people like brimstones and geckos and all that type of stuff. They'll play more for the main and hookah and that kind of stuff. And that's what will happen quite a few times. But sometimes they will just like full play sight. So you're gonna need to do an early ult like this. So yeah, that's it for B. Let's go over to A. And for A, I'm gonna do my normal setup, which is unfortunately, once again, the razor vines don't really have any sneaky positions. There is one for showers, but I'm not going to show it yet because it's not really that normal for me. Usually, I will just place the razor vines like this. It is just generally how it's going to go, unfortunately, because unfortunately they are quite shootable. Like once people know where you're putting them, they can just pre-fire them. So it's not exactly ideal. It's the same thing as like putting your cipher trip in a choke point and then someone pre-firing the choke point every time. It's kind of like that, right? Pre-firing the wall and the choke point. You can also do razor vines like this as well, where you place one kind of like in this area, and then you place one. I like to put it on the box. I like to put it on the box when I do this. When I do this one, let's just wait for this one to expire a bit. And as you can see with these two, when this one expires, that it covers like quite a bit of area for them to like get onto the site. Don't worry about leaving corners on your razor vines like this where they're not getting hit by the razor vine. It doesn't matter, right? Because it's doing the exact same thing. They still can't move out the corner. And they wouldn't be being dealt damage anyway if they were staying still in the corner. So don't worry too much about leaving like these open corners with the razor vines. It's not really that important. So next is the shear. And the shear for A, once again, fairly similar to hookah, A main is, or A short, where you can't really get a very valuable shear. Unfortunately, there's no like really good places to put it. So for the most part, I like to put it in showers or like near showers, like basically out like this or over here like this. It is, I think, just about detectable. I know it's not actually. So this one isn't just about detectable, so they won't see it until they're already out basically. So this one can be quite good. Unfortunately, there isn't, unlike on B, right? On B, a lot of the time you'll see like 2 people hookah, 3 people long. So you're more likely to get value with the shear. On showers, you're actually more likely to not get value with the shear because it might just be 1 person or it might be 2. And sometimes that 2 isn't going to be fully taken. Like, they're not going to be running out of showers anyway. Like, the person will stay back and, like, watch for a TP or something. So there's not actually, like, the likelihood of you getting value with the shear is pretty low. So I don't particularly like the shear that much. You can do ones like mid-sight as well, which can be quite effective potentially with, like, putting people off. Obviously, the disadvantage to this is there's still a gap. So it's not actually great. It's just that some people will path like this, and then they'll get stuck, and the only way out is through here. So you might be able to get like a spam from here or something before they actually get out. That's kind of like some of the ways I might use shear. Unfortunately, the shear is just not that good on A, and it's one of the reasons why I don't play A very much. We've gone over the razor vines. I will talk about this quick sneaky one that I like to do. You basically just go up to this wall, go up to the corner, and then you can see like this towel, right? You just want to go down one tile like this, and then just go a bit more to the left. You can just do it straight like this, right? But I found that it is actually less consistent to get to this point. So I like to just go a tiny bit to the left of the towel. It tends to be a bit more consistent for me. And essentially what it does is it just is a really weird place where they won't really be looking at it. When it's detected, like within the 4 meters, they won't really be looking that direction. So they won't see it. They'll hear it, but they won't see it. So they might decide to like look up and try and find it. But it can be like a sneaky way to kind of like pressure someone in showers, especially if you're playing like this type of position, right? And you know that they've just peeked or something, they've just flashed. You can detonate it and peek them while they're in the razor vine. So it is quite strong, potentially, for those type of trap plays. Next is the flash. And the main place I put my flash on A, there are plenty of positions where you can put it over here for short. You can put it here for like showers or whatever, but I don't really like that one. You can put it over here, but the one I like the most is one over here. You need to jump though. And place it just under the A on reactor A. And what it does is it basically is going to hit everywhere you need to hit. It's going to hit the entry of showers. It's going to hit the entry of short, and the people coming out short as well, all the way up to site. It won't hit the people over here, obviously, but you can do, if you're playing lamps, you can just do one. You can just do one for lamps, like this, if you want to. That is completely fine too. So that's it for A. Your ult, once again, self-explanatory on defense, where you're just going to be kind of using it to, stop people from coming into your site when they start to come out. It's very similar to how you might use, actually, it's not really similar to Killjoy ult in that way. You can use it a bit more instantly on this, obviously. Like, Killjoy has that massive countdown. This one has a very small delay, or like a decently small delay, where you can actually use it a bit more actively to stop an execute, rather than Killjoy ult, where you kind of want to use it for retake. Speaking of retake, we'll talk about A retake, which happens a lot more for me. And so once again, same premise applies with the flash, is that we're going to be using it to try and get the information we need. So ones like this will actually be fine, because there's very little positions where this is actually going to get shot from. And it's going to give you info as well, that if someone can see this, they're in a position such as showers or backside. And also, if they want to shoot it, you'll actually hear where the shots come from. So it's actually a really good flash. Sometimes as well, when you're getting the info flashes, like generally the rule of thumb, with these flashes is that you want to place them super high, right? When you're on a retake flash, or you want to do like info type flashes, that's not always the case. Like placing this low, for instance, right? Instead of placing it high, if I place it low, you can see that this flash is not exposed to showers. So I'm actually getting more defined info. So if this gets shot, or if I get a tag with the flash, I know that they're actually in a position that isn't showers. They're over here, or they may be in this little crack of like this little angle, which is probably not that good, or they're in a close angle over here. Like I actually know I can actually like pinpoint a bit more by being more accurate with my flash on the wall. So next I want to talk about the razor vines. Oh, sorry, these flashes you can do kind of like this as well, like through the truck. Once again, get more defined info, and you can put it all the way through showers there as well, as you can see. So you can do some really cool flashes to get some info. That flash is actually really good for getting the info in showers, just in case someone might be playing there. If it's like planted here, and someone wants to like do a full rotation, you might be able to catch that rotation with the flash, which is quite cool. Also, you can sort of help your teammates as well. If you're maybe a bit late to the retake and your teammates are taking lamps, you can flash through like this. Just bear in mind that you might flash your teammates. You want to be warning your teammates that you're flashing lamps for them. So then they can go take it, basically. You can also do it like really far forward like this, like really far to this part of the corner of lamps. Then you can actually get people playing in this position as well, which sometimes gets played in, or like this type of position here, which sometimes gets played in. And they might just end up shooting it, but that gives you the info anyway. Next is razor vines. And razor vines, you can kind of use once again to kind of get people out of positions, or like stopping them from peeking you in their positions. Ideally, you want to get this one actually on the bench. Okay, actually, you want to get this one on the bench. I'm not free throwing it very well. I think you need to be quite low. Yeah, there you go. And get it on the bench and stop people from peeking your bench. You can do things like place one here to stop people from peeking at peeking out this box, and you can spam them to like force them to have to move, or they just die to the spray. Things like that are really, really useful to do on the retake. Your shear, once again, you're probably going to be using it in B. So you won't have it for the retake. And generally, it's not really that strong on the retake either. Your ult, you can also use, once again, very similar to B. The more and more space they give you, the more greedy you can be with where you place it. So if you can go here if they give you backside for free. You can even go over here if they're giving you sight for free because they're playing more retakey stuff, like more like post plant, like molly type stuff. You can do it over here and then go push them when they've got their classics out, basically. That's it for defense. I'll go into attack. So on attack, I'm going to start with A, but first I want to talk about some more cross-map type pressure stuff where you can kind of take some space for your team. So the first one is this, like, I'm going to line up with this this corner. I'm going to use this part of the hood to line up. And what it does is you might have seen a very similar molly with Viper, in that this Viper molly will, like, basically deny space in long. This Razorvine is actually, like, the Razorvine itself is actually stronger than most mollies for this job, for this purpose of denying space for people to run through the space. It's actually probably the best one for when the enemies are moving. The problem is with the Razorvine, when you do cross-map stuff like this, is that usually there's not going to be any additional pressure. That means that this won't get shot. Because usually when you're placing Razorvines, when you're like going in with them, like for instance, like when you're placing one for like anti-flood or something, you're placing it into a smoke most likely. And on top of that as well, there's other additional pressure from your teammates that are going to be adding to the pressure of this. So they can't actually shoot it because they're getting flashed. They're getting there's other flashes, there's other mollies, all that type of stuff, right? There's smokes, there's people firing through the smoke, and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of pressure going on. This one's there's nothing else going on. So it's going to be a lot easier to shoot this and wait for this. So it is a good molly if it actually gets detonated. But bear in mind, I don't think it's going to get detonated very often, especially if you do it a lot through the game. So just bear that in mind. It is a good molly. It just might not get as much value as a Viper molly would in that situation, technically. Or at least not as consistently throughout the rounds. The next one is in this corner on top of the barrel. I'm going to use this part of the, like this, like top of the building, like this little line. And this part of the hood, like this.
Launching thorns.
And essentially what it's going to do is it's going to replicate the same molly you'll see from like Gecko or Viper, where you'll see a Brim ult come through, and then you'll be able to like basically put this player that's going to like push showers like this, right? This player is going to be in an awful position because they're getting Brim ulted here. They can't get run through back through the Brim ult to run away from these fights that they're about to take because they're going to get slowed by the Razorvine and take damage. And also tell the enemy to tell your team that they're running through it, because they're going to make sound. So they're going to even tell you by running through it like this that they've run away. This Razorvine is actually really strong because it just basically forces the person in showers to take this fight. And ideally, when you do this molly, you're going to make sure that this person in showers is going to have a disadvantageous fight by flashing them, sending multiple players towards them, and just generally trying to take showers. Flash you can do is like this. That's the most basic flash you can do on VYSE for this if you want to do this. Bear in mind that you probably will not be the catalyst for this because you're going to have to place this too. So bear in mind that you're going to have like a Yoru or a Sky that is going to be doing that pressure. So it's more for your team, this Razorvine is. Same thing applies as well with this one, is that it's going to have very little pressure going on with it. It will do for this guy, but this player on short probably will be able to shoot this for his teammate. So bear in mind that it doesn't have that much pressure, so you do need to detonate it fairly quickly when it lands. So next I'm going to talk about showers first. And I've already talked about this flash. It's only just the general flash that you're going to place to try and clear things. Something you want to bear in mind as VYSE though is that people are going to try and dodge your flash and then swing after the flash. So be careful of that when you place obvious flashes. You can also use it like this, so not like that, like this. Clear like the full space in the corridor. Once again, people will hide and try and take these types of angles, so be careful. But for the most part, this will help you clear space. And that's like this flash is really strong for just helping you take increments of space. It's very similar to Dizzy in that way, I think. Or like even Sky Flash, which we've already talked about in the post plan, right? Where you kind of get in the info with the flash, and then you can always like take it back, and it's actually got a better cooldown than those abilities do. Not exactly Dizzy, but it has a better cooldown than Sky Flash, which is pretty crazy, right? When you retrieve it, at least. So when you're taking showers as well, if you got here late, something that you can do as well, and this goes for anywhere that you got somewhere late and you kind of need to clear a corner or like clear multiple angles at once, right? Because when you go through showers, you can see that if I got here late, someone could have crossed. So I'm kind of like gambling by picking a corner. So what you can do is you can use the molly like this to force this player to not peek out of the corner, right? That means that I can focus on this angle until I am right up against this corner where I can actually swing this corner. So it takes a bit more of the gambling out because I don't really need to worry about that angle because this person won't swing. And if he does swing, then what it means is that they will be slowed, they will take damage, and they'll also notify me that they are swinging me. So it's pretty good to use him while of that potentially if you need to. When we actually get to this point in showers, there's actually quite a few options. One thing that's very, very interesting in bind is because the shear can't be used as anti-flank really on this map, because this unfortunately isn't good enough for the shear. You're going to be planting it in a double sentinel comp ideally, or you're just not going to be using your shear in post plant in the anti-flank. So it means that you can use it a lot more in post plant. So you can set up trap plays like this, for instance, where you can place one here. So if anyone tries to retake through this area, you can potentially get a nice 1v1 on someone if you play like this type of angle, right? And they come through and you can get a nice 1v1. You can also use it with flashes like this to like guarantee that they're there and then flash them when they come through. Although I would recommend flashes that are super high and through the wall in post plant. Just bear in mind, you don't be flashing teammates first of all, and second of all, they are going to be very, very shootable if anyone's like still residually on site. So what I mean by that is if sometimes on bind you don't really take back sight. So if you place a high flash like this, it's going to get shot instantly. So you want to be a bit more sneaky with where you place the flashes. And that's in that case, like placing one here, once again, be careful not to flash teammates because they're going to be playing those sort of angles. Or you can place the sneaky ones, like what he said, like this, and for your trap play, like this. The wall is also quite good like this as well from showers. Bear in mind, you do have to go kind of out of position to place it like this. So you want to place it fairly early in the retake, or if this is like fully smoked off. When it comes to ult as well, this is the best ult position for attacking on A because it's going to get everything but this corner, and you can combine with teammates such as flashing it, mollying it, or ulting it in some capacity like Raze ult or Brim ult or something to sort of like alleviate the fact that that is that gap in your ult. Yeah, so that's basically it for VYSE from showers. We'll talk about A short. And that also goes for post plant as well. In post plant, you just play from short. And use your wall for trap plays and things. I've already mentioned that. Basically how it is when you're going out of short. Going out of showers. When you're going through short, very rarely should you place this flash. I place this flash a couple times. I've seen like lots of people place this flash. It gets shot immediately. It does not get value. So generally the flashes that I like to do is if you want to play, if you're like here slow, like mid rounding, you can do flash like that just to check for like close angles. If you're here like with your team and you're fighting for this space, even not really, even if you just want info here, you can place flash like this. And the most important things about these flashes is that they're getting like very specific value. They're not just like showing itself to everything. And you're just not getting value, like info in everything, right? If you detonate the flash and it detonates here, you're going to get info that someone might be heaven. Like, it's not exactly the most applicable info to the end. So ones like this can be quite strong. One like this as well can also be really helpful. So what you'll see, is a lot of people will actually be playing like this type of area, right? If you're taking like full shorts and then there's like one you got a lurk bath, this area will be populated by an enemy. So this type of flash can be quite useful because it might force them to shoot it, might force them to hide, and give this player a lot more time potentially to sneak up on them, or they just get flashed by it and die. And that can also be a possibility. You can also get info in lamps as well with this as well. So all these types of flashes are much better than placing the flash on here. So please don't place your flash on here. It is really bad. Next, I'm going to talk about the shears. Because once again, we're not going to be using the shear for anti-flank on this map. So most of the time, you're going to have it up for a shear like this or a shear like this, which is my two personal favorites. And most of the time, you're going to get a 1v1 or a 2v1 with a teammate when you do this. Because a lot of people like to go through here. Also, you get a lot of value by delaying the enemies a lot as well, potentially, if they try to bait it or something as well. And post-plant, time is of the essence. So they really need to not be baiting walls like this, ideally, right? Especially if you get the kill on the person that ran through, or if they have jump spotted it and they have to run all the way back through lamps. Like, that is like a really, really strong thing to have the wall here. And this wall is also strong for the same reason. Delays them. Sometimes you'll see people take this as two to like trade each other. So the trader will not be able to trade if you get this kill, which is pretty good. Those are the two shears I like to use. I generally don't ult from short if I can help it, because I usually prefer this ult. So if I have my ult, I will be prioritizing going showers. In terms of razor vines, you can do razor vines like this. Bear in mind that if there's no pressure going on, they're more likely to get shot, so you want to be using it basically during the execute as like anti-flood as well, which is also quite useful. You can also place one like this. I'm pretty sure it goes through. It doesn't go through, I'm stupid. I'm pretty sure it goes like this instead. It goes through like this instead. So you want to bear in mind that you can't just like send it through in the corner like this, right? It doesn't go through. But if you put it near a doorway, it'll like bend around the doorway like this. So you can do stuff like this, which is really, really strong. Potentially if you hear them like run into lamps, right? Because a lot of people will run into lamps at this point. So you can detonate this and it will delay them even further. And especially if you've got the shear here as well, it will delay them so long in lamps, and they might just give up on lamps and come back through this area, like the site area. And yeah, these are the type of razor vines you want to do. Are the ones that will help you take space for like maybe a ray satching over, for instance. This is actually quite effective razor vine, because not only will they be caring about these rays like satching over, they also so they won't shoot it, but also when the rays actually gets here, they're going to be on a razor vine and slowed and taking damage and just like in general like getting revealed to the rays as well, sound wise as well, so they'll know where they are. So yeah, it's pretty good overall to use it like this. So we'll go over on to B. That might have been a bit over-explained. I'm pretty sure it was, so I'm very sorry. Next is B on hookah. So on hookah, this is where you'll go, once again, very similar to Showers. This is where you'll go when you have your ult. And you can use your flashes like this to kind of clear the space if you want to. Get info in this space. You can do it as well, like through here as well, I'm pretty sure. So if you're concerned about this corner more than any of these corners, you can do the flash like this as well, and it clears the same thing. Bear in mind, it will also clear stuff like on site over here, like someone's playing this angle. So you want to be careful of that as well, that you don't maybe think that someone's here and they're actually here. So we want to be careful of that. And when it comes to like ulting from hookah, you're going to be over here. Bear in mind that when you use it, you're going to have a target on your back, and this is wallbangable. So you want to bear in mind that when you use it, you want to make sure you're moving away from it as much as possible, as like in as safe a way as possible. Obviously, it's not exactly a safe position you're going to be ulting from. Razor vines, send them backside, pretty good from hookah to send them backside. You can also send them into CT as well, also really effective. Usually there's going to be a smoke there as well, so they won't exactly see where it lands, so it's more than likely going to get detonated, and it will force the player on site to stay in sight because they can't just run through here, so they're going to be slowed and in your vision. So it's quite good. When it comes to the shear as well, this is basically just post-plant stuff. Post-plant shear is going to be when you're on site. If you jump out hookah, you're going to be playing on site. You can place a wall like this and just like basically play off the wall to fight the person from this angle or something. Bear in mind you can double bang, so be careful of that. You can play from this angle as well. It's also quite strong. You want to be combining this with probably like a post-plant that's quite high, like a flash that's quite high. In the post-plant, it's going to be quite useful. Or if you want to get like specific info, so say if you're playing a bit more slow from hookah, or like you're like solo taking hookah, you want to get more like more specific info. So you want to place it maybe in the tube like this to know exactly where they are playing like in the site and that kind of stuff. That can be quite useful too, rather than just getting like a blanket good flash or a blanket flash like this. That is also likely to get shot. Then we'll go talk about long. So for long, a lot of the time you can do this type of flash, really help to take long. If you know that no one plays like close, or if you so happen to have your flash up, but someone else has also like cleared this in some capacity, you can also do it like this as well, which is also likely to get shot, but it can help you clear space. And also if you get shot, it gives you info anyway. So it's quite good too. With the razor vines, once again, you can use them to clear space. Often from clear space will like basically take some of the pressure off you when clearing angles, right? Because now if I place a razor vine here, no one's going to be able to swing me from this angle, right? Because they're going to get slowed, they're going to take damage, and also they're going to give me info that they're peeking me because I'll hear them get slowed. So I'll have the time to react. More flashes you can do are like on these walls. You can do them through the box like this, through the tube, as I've already mentioned, through hookah. You can do also for elbow like this as well. So there's plenty of flashes you can do that are relevant to what your teammates are doing. Because generally you're not going to be the one using some of these flashes. Like for instance this one. I imagine like someone like a jet that dashes out into this angle might be using this, right? And that kind of stuff is quite strong. You can use the shear for like blocking off the diffuse as well if you want to. This is a pretty good place to put it, depending on where it's actually like where the spike is actually being placed. You can also do for like, elbow as well, very similar to this, where you block off elbow so the first person that comes through doesn't get traded. VYSE is actually pretty simple as an agent overall with like what they aim to do. It can they definitely kind of suffer on attack because I think they suffer less than Deadlock for like lack of coordination. With Deadlock with coordination is quite strong, to be honest, and I think VYSE is actually quite strong with coordination as well. In solo queue, she's definitely a better version of Deadlock slightly. And one more thing as well is that when you're like running onto site, you can actually just like go against this pillar, throw this, and it actually just like does an anti-flood molly pretty easily. So you can do that anti-flood molly as well, which is also quite strong. And that's it for the bind guide, I think, for VYSE. So if I've missed anything, I did over-explain some things, I think. So it's likely I've missed something. So if I have missed something, feel free to put it in the comments about what I've missed. If you want to see more content like this, then like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.